Right now, I mean literally right at this second, hidden behind the drywall of your beautifully designed, super convenient second-floor laundry room, there is a very good chance you are harboring a miniature high-heat wind tunnel.
Yeah, a wind tunnel that is quietly packing itself with highly combustible fuel.
Exactly. And today, we are looking at why moving our washing machines out of the damp, gross basement and upstairs near the bedrooms accidentally birthed this massive, high-stakes safety industry.
Which is something nobody really saw coming.
Right. So, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are talking about laundry, but probably not in the way you usually think about it.
No, definitely not.
You know, typically, the biggest concern with laundry is just, like, whether you remembered to separate the darks from the whites, or maybe trying to find where that one missing sock disappeared to.
Right, it's the definition of a mundane chore.
Yeah, you toss the clothes in, press a button, and you just walk away.
Which is completely understandable, right? I mean, it's a domestic routine we perform on absolute autopilot. We just implicitly trust the machine to do its job.
Right, but while you are walking away going about your day, there's this incredibly intense high heat process happening. I mean, the dryer is evaporating gallons of water out of these heavy fabrics.
Heavy, wet fabrics. It takes a lot of energy.
Exactly. And all that heat, the moisture, and the lint, it's all being funneled into a hidden exhaust system snaking right through the walls of your home. It's a complex infrastructure system that, honestly, most of us never give a second thought to.
Until something goes terribly, terribly wrong.
Right. And we really need to clarify what wrong means in this context, because we aren't just talking about, your towels coming out a little damp.
No, we are talking about catastrophic property damage here.
Right.
We are talking about rapid spread house fires.
Yeah.
The kind of danger that fundamentally changes lives in a matter of minutes.
Which brings us to the actual focus of our deep dive today. We are unpacking a summary document that details the mission, the operations, and the core philosophy of a very specific organization. It's called the Dryer Vent Safety Council, or the DVSC.
It's a really fascinating group to look into.
It is. We're going to explore how a simple, everyday household task evolved into this highly complex, rapidly growing industry. And more importantly, we're going to look at why this industry absolutely requires rigorous standardization to prevent those exact disasters we just mentioned.
Yeah, it serves as a fascinating case study. It's basically a perfect example of how the modern home, our desire for architectural aesthetics and convenience has completely outpaced our traditional understanding of basic home maintenance.
So to really understand why an organization like the DVSC even needs to exist today, we have to look back at how we got here.
We have to look at the history, yeah.
Because according to our sources, if you look back 20 or 30 years ago, dryer vent service wasn't even considered broad enough to be classified as a standalone industry.
Oh, not at all. It was considered a very narrow secondary task.
Like an afterthought.
Exactly. If a vent needed cleaning, maybe a general handyman took care of it while he was, fixing a leaky sink.
Right.
Or a plumber handled it. Or maybe you just took a shop vacuum to the back of the machine yourself on a Saturday afternoon. There were no national brands dedicated to this, and there certainly weren't any dedicated technicians.
Okay, let's unpack this because something massive obviously shifted.
Huge shift.
Because the document points out that today we have an entire industry with multiple national brands, a huge volume of local independent providers, and record numbers of technicians who do nothing but service dryer vents all day, every day.
That is their entire career, yes.
What on earth caused that kind of explosive growth?
Well, it really boils down to a fundamental shift in modern construction trends.
No.
And it was driven entirely by consumer preference.
We did it to ourselves.
Pretty much. Think about homes built decades ago. The laundry machines were usually sitting right against an exterior wall in a drafty basement, or maybe out in the garage.
Right, yeah.
So the exhaust vent was a straight, rigid, very short piece of metal, maybe a foot or two long at most, and it just punched right through the wall to the outside.
So the hot air and lint had a very short, very easy trip outdoors. Minimal resistance.
Precisely. It just blew right out. But think about where people want their laundry rooms today.
Oh, upstairs. Definitely.
Right. We want them on the second floor, right next to the master bedroom, or maybe tucked away in a specialized closet right in the center of the house. We want that convenience.
Sure, nobody wants to lug baskets up and down stairs anymore.
Exactly. But to make that architectural layout happen, builders have to route the exhaust out of the house somehow. So modern construction requires much, much longer exhaust vent lines.
Like, how much longer are we talking?
Well, instead of 2 feet, you might have 40 feet of ductwork.
Wow, 40 feet.
Yeah, and it snakes up through roofs, it navigates through complex floor joists, and it requires multiple sharp bends and elbows just to reach the exterior of the house.
And I imagine, just from a physics standpoint, every time you add a foot of pipe, or especially like a 90-degree turn, you are severely restricting the machine's ability to push that air out.
That is the core issue right there. Every single bend creates static pressure.
Okay.
It slows the airflow down. And when the airflow slows down, the heavy, wet lint drops out of the airstream, and it just sticks to the walls of the duct.
Oh, man. So it just builds up in there.
It builds up, and over time, the dryer keeps blasting high heat into that pipe, baking the lint until it is bone dry.
Yikes.
You are essentially packing a hidden pipe inside your walls with premium kindling and then blowing fire-hot air over it.
That is, I mean, think of it like this. Your old basement dryer was like breathing out through a thick, short straw.
Yeah.
It's incredibly easy.
Right.
But now, imagine your modern second-floor dryer. It's like trying to exhale forcefully through a 40-foot garden hose that has 3 severe kinks in it. The machine just chokes.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it because the machine chokes, it runs hotter, the thermostats fail, and the risk profile of the entire house completely changes.
And I'm guessing people started noticing things catching on fire.
Well, the market realized this danger, certainly, and it grew explosively to meet the demand for cleaning these massive, complex vents.
Right.
But that rapid, completely unregulated growth, it created a profound vulnerability.
Which the source document has a very specific name for. They call it the consistency gap.
Yes, the consistency gap.
And when you read about it, it is a genuinely terrifying reality. Because the industry was growing at breakneck speed. But uniform service and safety protocols simply did not keep pace with that growth.
Not even close. You had thousands of new technicians entering the field because there was real money to be made servicing these complex modern homes.
Right. Everyone wanted a piece of the pie.
Exactly. But there was no unified, industry-wide baseline for how to actually do it safely. It was the Wild West out there.
And think about house plumbing or electrical work for a second. If you hire an electrician to wire your new kitchen, there are strict universal standards they have to follow. If every electrician just showed up and improvised on the job based on like what they watched on a YouTube video that morning, houses would burn down every single day.
Absolutely. It would be chaos.
We would never accept that level of risk. Yet for decades, as dryer vents got longer, more convoluted, and frankly much more dangerous, they were essentially treated like a DIY afterthought rather than a critical home infrastructure system.
That's exactly what the consistency gap meant. It meant that the technicians servicing your neighbor's house might use a completely different methodology, a different set of tools, and follow a different set of personal safety standards than the technicians servicing your house.
So you really had no idea what you were getting.
No idea. Maybe one guy uses a specialized brush while another uses a literal leaf blower.
A leaf blower? Really?
It happened all the time. But when you are dealing with high heat and highly combustible material trapped inside residential walls, that kind of inconsistency is a massive liability.
Which brings us directly to the creation of the Dryer Vent Safety Council.
Yes, the DVSC.
They looked at this highly dangerous consistency gap, looked at the thousands of independent operators just out there doing whatever they wanted, and realized someone had to bring order to the chaos.
They stepped in to fill that exact void. The DVSC was formed as a 501c6 nonprofit trade association based out of Washington, D.C.
I want to pause there for a second because 501c6 sounds like deep tax jargon.
It is a bit dry, yes.
Just to clarify for anyone listening, that designation means they aren't a traditional charity, right?
Correct.
They exist specifically to advocate for the professionals in the industry and to elevate the trade itself.
Exactly right. Their entire organizational structure is built around professionalizing the industry. They protect the public by elevating the standards of the people actually doing the work.
And they have a motto that I absolutely love. It is in Latin.
Yes, it is.
It's, let me get this right, Consistentia Reducit Periculum.
You nailed it.
Thank you. Which translates to consistency reduces risk.
It perfectly distills their foundational philosophy. The DVSC operates on the principle that safety is never an accident. True safety is only achieved through strict discipline and the absolute elimination of what they refer to as field improvisation.
So no more guessing on the job. No more, hey, this looks good enough for today.
Right, because good enough in a 40-foot vertical exhaust run that snakes through a wood-framed attic, that is exactly how fires start.
Wow, yeah.
But actually eliminating that improvisation is incredibly difficult when you look at the sheer volume of fragmented rules out there.
It wasn't that there were 0 rules before the DVSC.
Oh, no, it was almost the opposite problem. There were too many different conflicting voices shouting all at once.
Right. It's not just a vacuum of regulation. It's an incredibly noisy space.
What's fascinating here is the massive, well, the alphabet soup of regulatory bodies that touch on this one single household system.
I saw that in the document. It's crazy.
It really is. You have the International Code Council, or the ICC. You have the National Fire Protection Association, the NFPA.
Right.
Then there's the United States Fire Administration, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, Underwriters Laboratories, and on top of all of that, the maintenance guidelines from the actual appliance manufacturers themselves.
It makes my head spin just hearing all those acronyms. But, why do they conflict? Shouldn't they all just want the house to be safe?
Well, they all want safety, sure, but they view safety through entirely different lenses.
What do you mean?
Okay, so the fire department, the NFPA, they only care about preventing combustion and containing flames.
Makes sense.
But the structural guys, the ICC, they care about the integrity of the building. They don't want you drilling a massive hole through a load-bearing floor joist just to run a pipe.
Oh, I see.
And Underwriters Laboratories, they only care about the electrical components of the machine not shorting out. And the appliance manufacturers just want to make sure the machine operates efficiently so you don't return it to the store.
Okay, wow. So if you are a local technician and you're crawling around in a dusty 120-degree attic trying to figure out how to route a pipe, you're essentially stuck in a crossfire.
Exactly.
The structural code tells you one thing, but the fire code tells you another.
It is an impossible ask for an individual technician to navigate that on the fly. And that is where the DVSC steps in as the great synthesizer.
The great synthesizer. I like that.
They act as an integrative force. They basically negotiate the peace between all these competing priorities and synthesize those disparate guidelines into a single, clear, repeatable process for their members.
So they take all that noise and make it simple.
Yes. They turn that alphabet soup into a highly actionable field baseline.
Okay, so they have this noble philosophy of absolute consistency, and they have successfully translated all these conflicting regulations. But how do you actually force thousands of independent handymen to change their habits overnight?
It's not easy.
The source document outlines 3 core objectives, or like strategic pillars, that the DVSC uses to enforce this discipline in the real world.
Yes, the 3 pillars. The first of those pillars is standards and practices. This is where the theory actually hits the drywall.
Right.
The council is very clear that establishing a true industry baseline requires a lot more than just basic adherence to local building codes.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Because I think most people, myself included, assume that if a house passes a municipal building code inspection when it's built or sold, it is inherently safe forever.
That is a very common misconception.
Right. So why aren't basic building codes enough to keep you and your home safe in this context?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, building codes are essentially just a snapshot in time.
A snapshot.
Yeah. They dictate the initial construction of the home. A building inspector comes out on a Tuesday in 2018 and says, yes, this pipe is the right material and it is the right diameter. They check a box and they leave.
Right. They never come back.
Exactly. Building codes cannot account for what happens inside that pipe over 5 years of a family doing heavy laundry every single week.
Ah, I see. A code tells you how to build it on day 1, but it has absolutely nothing to say about how to maintain it on day 1,000.
That is the blind spot. Long modern exhaust systems require rigorous ongoing maintenance to remain safe over time. That is why the DVSC's first pillar goes far beyond the initial building code.
So what do they actually do instead?
They champion directives from all those recognized authorities we mentioned, but they demand rigorous ongoing inspection protocols. They demand objective field testing and strict alignment with the manufacturer's recommended maintenance cycles.
Wait, hold on. What does objective field testing actually look like? Are they bringing, Wind tunnels into my laundry room?
Not quite a wind tunnel, no, but they are bringing hard science into the laundry room.
Yep.
Instead of just looking in the pipe with a flashlight and saying, looks clean, a DVSC standard might require measuring the actual cubic feet per minute, the CFM of airflow, coming out of the exterior vent.
Oh, so they measure the actual flow.
Yes, using an anemometer. Or they might measure the back pressure right at the back of the dryer. They are also constantly looking to identify and resolve code deficiencies that may have developed over time.
Give me an example of a code deficiency that develops over time. What does that physically look like behind the machine?
Well, a classic example is the transition duct. That's the piece connecting the back of the dryer to the wall.
Right. Usually it's that slinky thing.
Exactly. People often buy that flimsy, slinky-style foil tape duct from a hardware store because it's cheap and it's easy to bend.
Yeah, I bought that exact one.
Most people have. But that foil crushes incredibly easily if the dryer gets pushed back against the wall, which instantly chokes the airflow.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
So the DVSC standard requires rigid or semi-rigid metal that cannot be crushed, and importantly, won't easily burn if a fire actually does start inside the machine.
That makes total sense. And they stress that all of these standards are rooted in field-validated best practices.
Right.
So it's not just theoretical safety dreamed up by lawyers in a Washington boardroom. It's proving to actually work in real-world scenarios.
It has to be practical. If the standard is too complex or too annoying for a technician to execute on a ladder in a tight, dark space, they will just revert right back to improvising.
Which perfectly transitions us into their second strategic pillar, certification and education.
Yes.
If the first pillar is figuring out what needs to be done, the second pillar is strictly regulating who is allowed to do it. The DVSC places a massive emphasis on what they call verified competence.
Verified competence. Because you can write the most brilliant safety standards in the world, but if the technician showing up at the house doesn't actually understand the physics of airflow or the nuances of the fire code, those standards are completely useless.
Right, it's just a piece of paper at that point.
Exactly. So the council actively works with existing training and certification providers to promote unified certification pathways.
So this means when you let a stranger into your house to clean your vents, you aren't just crossing your fingers and relying on, a few good Yelp reviews.
No, you have a national safety baseline protecting your family.
That is so important.
They want to ensure that if a technician claims to be certified, that certification isn't just some PDF they bought online for $20.
Right.
It actually aligns with the DVSC's rigorous hands-on safety objectives. And importantly, they don't just stop at a one-time test. The document highlights a really strict requirement for continuing education.
I would imagine that's crucial. I mean, appliances are getting more technologically advanced, smart homes are changing how all these systems integrate, and architectural trends just keep evolving.
It is absolutely vital. Ongoing learning ensures these professionals aren't operating on outdated assumptions from 10 years ago.
Right.
It builds immense industry credibility when the technicians are constantly updating their knowledge base to match the current technology.
And that credibility feeds directly into their third and final pillar, advocacy and awareness.
The advocacy piece is huge.
Because once you have built these high standards and you have trained this army of highly competent professionals, you have to actually tell the world why any of this matters.
Right, you can't keep it a secret. The DVSC essentially acts as a megaphone for the trade, and they target this advocacy in two main directions.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, they provide stakeholder support. This means they are taking all the synthesized data, all these field-validated practices, and handing them directly to the people who write the rules.
Like who?
The insurers, the municipal code officials, the policymakers, and other large safety advocates.
So they are actively trying to shape a safer environment from the top down.
Exactly.
Trying to get building codes updated to reflect modern reality.
Yes, but the second target is arguably even more important, the public.
The everyday homeowner.
Exactly. They launch campaigns to elevate dryer vent safety from this ignored, out-of-sight chore to a critical public awareness issue.
They want you to understand the risk of that 40-foot pipe before a disaster forces you to understand it.
That's the ultimate goal. It's about shifting the entire cultural mindset around home maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, we don't think twice about changing the oil in our cars every few thousand miles. We're swapping the batteries in our smoke detectors twice a year.
Right. It's just routine.
They want dryer vent maintenance to be viewed with that exact same level of routine necessity.
And it really should be.
Now, to manage all this, the synthesis of the alphabet soup of codes, the nationwide certification pathways, the public awareness campaigns. The DVSC obviously needs a really solid internal structure.
It's a massive undertaking.
The source document outlines their governance and membership model, which is split into two distinct tiers.
Right. It is a structure specifically designed to provide both high-level leadership and practical, on-the-ground professional development.
Let's break those tiers down.
Sure. At the top tier, you have the Board of Governors. This group is composed of distinguished industry thought leaders.
The veterans of the industry.
Exactly. Their role is to govern the council, steer the strategic vision, and actively work to advance those trade standards with lawmakers and the appliance manufacturer.
So they are the ones looking at the horizon,
Yeah.
anticipating how the industry needs to evolve over the next 5 to 10 years.
That's their job, yes.
And then at the second tier, you have the associate members.
And the associate members are really the lifeblood of the organization.
These are the boots on the ground.
Yes. These are the industry professionals, the actual business owners, and local technicians operating in the field every single day.
Okay.
By joining the DVSC, they gain access to those vetted certification pathways we talked about. They get the ongoing education resources, and they benefit from the powerful advocacy of the larger organization.
It sounds like a highly symbiotic relationship. The DVSC gains ground-level engagement and a unified workforce to actually carry out its mission, and the technician strengthens their professional legitimacy and their ability to run a better, safer business.
It elevates everyone involved. The technician is no longer just a, handyman cleaning a pipe.
Right.
They are a recognized professional maintaining a critical safety system.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this all the way back down to earth, right into the listener's laundry room.
Okay.
When you need this maintenance done, and you are scrolling online looking for someone to hire, this entire organizational structure is what separates a potentially dangerous gamble from a guarantee of safety.
It really is.
The difference between hiring a well-meaning but improvising contractor and a unified certified DESC associate member isn't just about getting a cleaner vent so your jeans dry faster.
No.
It is quite literally about the preservation of your property and the safety of your family.
It is the difference between hoping the job was done right and knowing with absolute certainty that the job was executed against a strict, harmonized, field-validated standard.
Right.
The DVSC looked at a chaotic, very dangerous landscape and successfully brought discipline to it.
It's incredible when you step back and look at the whole picture. We've traced a really amazing journey today.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. We started with a narrow, almost non-existent chore from 30 years ago, and saw how the simple consumer desire to move a laundry room to the second floor of a house just fundamentally transformed it.
A simple change with massive consequences.
Yeah, it created this highly complex, potentially dangerous industry. And we've seen how the Dryer Vent Safety Council had to step into the terrifying void of the consistency gap to eliminate improvisation through standardization, education, and advocacy.
It is a stark reminder of how unseen infrastructure completely dictates our safety.
Totally.
And this raises an important question. If modern construction trends and architectural aesthetics quietly turned our dryer vents into a complex, hidden fire hazard, a hazard that became so severe, it eventually required the creation of its own National Safety Council to regulate what other highly integrated household systems in our modern complex homes are currently outgrowing their traditional maintenance practices.
Oh, wow.
Right. What else is sitting quietly behind our drywall, out of sight and out of mind, just waiting for a disaster to force standardization?
That is a fascinating and, honestly, I have to admit, slightly chilling thought to leave on.
It is something to think about.
It really makes you look at the walls of your own house a little differently. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Next time you press start on that seemingly mundane load of laundry, we hope you'll take a moment to look a little closer at the unseen systems working incredibly hard, and thanks to organizations like the DVSC, hopefully working safely to keep your home running.